Hello friends, welcome. I'm Commissar Marek, and today we are going to be making a video about these 3 Augustus, but doing something a little bit different. This is not tips and tricks video. This video is going to be showing how do cities look like in the Reconquered campaign, when there's a section on C3 Haven where it's called completed cities and people share their own cities there. And so I went there, I went to Reddit, I went to Zcourt and on my own Discord and put together a compilation of city pictures and how do people build and are there differences between cities. Why is this important is that there have been a couple people, not many, but a couple who feel like they can't enjoy the campaign because the maps are a bit more challenging than the original campaign. I just cannot decorate as I want, or I can't build what I want where I want. And yes, that is true to an extent, where maps are designed with specific features in mind, and oftentimes there are blockers. You can build a ground temple whenever you want. You need to find a spot for it, but the provided spots are usually plentiful, and I'm gonna prove to you with this compilation how that's all possible and how different approaches are possible. Because what I'm gonna be showing you is this is from bunch of various different players, okay? So I'm not going to be mentioning every single one because it's literally impossible to keep track of it. My folder now is absolutely bloated with a whole bunch of stuff, so remembering whose the city was is going to be extremely difficult. If you see your own city, feel free to let me know in the comments, I guess. And this is just to show people what you've done as players and what you've achieved and how it can differ and how you can still decorate in the Reconquered campaign, because some people have pushed it to the absolute limit with filling the map approach. And yeah, so we'll be going through, I guess I want all the maps, but we don't have that many completed cities for some of the later ones yet. As the people who like to decorate a lot like to take their time. So let's start first with Ostia, right? So this is the first mission in the Reconquered campaign, and so we'll take a look at this city first. This one took the regular 22x6-ish block at the start and used it for a bunch of temples and then houses on the outskirts as well as in the middle. And yeah, that looks really good. I think that most Ostia maps will actually keep the initial block design, because keep in mind this is the first map ever. As you might remember from the normal campaign, you don't really do anything on this map, you just kind of build houses, let things explode. This is different. I'm not going to go into events here, but suffice to say, even this will offer some variation, especially if people like to change that initial block a little bit. But obviously it's the first map, so oftentimes they will keep it. But still, where they build their industry, where they build their docks, these things can differ. Even on this small little map, you can have, I think, 3 different spots for docks. So yeah, that's gonna be the first one. Let's go ahead and load into another. And this one, we see even some altars being used. Otherwise, the block itself has houses in the middle, and that's okay. These people clearly have been playing with Global Labor Pool on so far, but there are gonna be some city screenshots from people who play without Global Labor Pool, because that is also an option. I didn't mention this at the start, but yes, it is totally possible to play the Reconquered campaign without using the Global Labor Pool. However, it is more difficult because it's not designed for it, but even Massilia, which is the toughest map, economically and terrain speaking, from the Reconquered campaign, is beatable as proven by Sam, who did it. He also did his own challenge with Damascus, which I'm going to show eventually. He vowed to not use any water apart from Grand Temple to Neptune's water, and he did that. So that's additional huge challenge he managed to get away with, and just there was nothing really telling him that he couldn't just use the water near the natives. Instead, he vowed to do that. So with this one, again, it's Ostia, it's relatively simple, it's gonna look very similar, but still there is variation where the dock is, where the bridges are, where the industry is. All these things do matter. Also, some people will use ox carts even on this map. This one is a bit extreme. I see 6 ox cart depots, which is quite a few for this small of a map. You don't technically have to use a single one here, but obviously they are good, so it definitely doesn't hurt to use them. So next, let's take a look at another one. This one didn't use the far bank at all, and we see a nice mixed block with a bunch of services intermingled with housing, and this one looks very natural. I think this is actually the natural build for this, like the person making this actually wanted it to look as natural as possible. We didn't have gardens near the exit point, we have a highway in the first mission. Okay. All of these will be small casa. There's no access to goods in the first mission, so already small casa is much harder than it would normally go on here, along with, you know, local production of food and whatnot. Minimal trees removed here, which is really nice. Okay, so I think that's gonna suffice for Ostia. Again, it's the first map, it's relatively simple. We don't need to spend too much time on that. Next up is Brundisium. So Brundisium, this one. This is the filled one. This is actually the best one we've got, because it is completely filled and there are all monuments constructed on the second map in the campaign. So we've got a lighthouse, we've got a caravanserai, we've got all 5 grand temples. So there's no pantheon. So no pantheon because there's no gold on Brundisium. It's the only reason why there's no pantheon. And a Colosseum, and no Hippodrome obviously because it's so small, but still 2 very efficient blocks. I really like how that turned out, and completely filled in all the food, probably overproducing. I would guess, oh, we have a 3rd small little block near the Colosseum. I didn't even notice that until now. Yeah, that's also nice. 1 island still unused, but that's completely reasonable because it's kind of hard to get to it. But otherwise, look at this. You would not need to do this. I will show you how the others manage to do this, but I'm just bewildered looking at this. Alright, so that was Brundisium. Now let's find another. As I mentioned, it is a bit hard to figure out which maps are actually Brundisium. I think I found one, yeah. Okay, so because I have like a folder with a whole bunch of screenshots, and just like some of the maps look a little bit similar from a distance when you just look at small icons. So yeah, this is like a minimalistic Brundisium. So you see the difference, like the other person who did that, what they got away with, all the monuments, all the Grand Insula, all the filled in spaces and decorations. Yes, you can do that, but you could also do this. This is like, you know, what I do, so like try hard, win and move on sort of approach. You can do this as well. And so, you know, I'm not saying one or the other is wrong, it's just that there is a variety of things you can do and get away with. And so these maps are quite small, as I mentioned, so the variety is actually not as high as it could be, but there is still, like, this is completely different than the other one. Still a really good block. I really like the medium insula block. It's just one needed. You don't need to go with anything extreme. It is the second mission after all, which in the original was, you know, you in the original campaign you could make small casa well into the mid campaign and just be able to just make small casa, never give people goods, and just this is my life and I win, because the campaign doesn't really know what the game is. Yeah, okay, so this person likes stocked warehouses, like a single dedicated warehouse for all the goods of that kind. I mean, yeah, it can work, it's just slightly not like space efficient for the warehouses. Might spend a couple of extra workers. And of course it could result in trader ping pong a little bit more, but I think it's managed well here. So let's move on to another. I'm not sure if I have more. I might have even more Brundisiums. Oh yeah, another one, okay. Let's take a look at this one. So this one is more concentrated. We don't have like the dedicated warehouses and whatnot. Still, the block is using a starting layout, so most people probably will elect to use that road since it's there at the start. So that makes sense. This one is not so altered, not so efficient, I don't think, because it has less houses, but still, you know, everything is done pretty well. Actually, oh no, I just realized something, why that is like it is. This is Fairby's map. This is Fairby City. You know why I know? Because he doesn't remove the freaking trees. That's why he had to build those little temples near the exit point. This is like post-mortem. I just look at things and like, yeah, this is not good. No, like obviously, the no 3 era moving thing, it's a bit of a meme at this point, but Fairby himself said that he started doing it because he didn't feel comfortable going into custom maps, and he wanted to still kind of challenge himself because he did realize that the basic campaign, after you realize better blocks than 9x9s, is trivial, completely and utterly trivial. So he instead went and did that, but he didn't feel like doing custom maps instead. Well, after a while he did give a shot to my Tarzan map and he liked it, even though it was a bit more challenging. But yeah, so essentially with the 3s it's even worse in a way, because you are limiting yourself. Like, there's nothing saying, oh, I cannot like carpet bomb the ever-living shit with Agent Orange out of the 3s on the map. You can, absolutely can, and there's no reason not to do it, apart from visual reasons. But you have to constantly resist the urge to do it, because it is a natural compulsion of every Season 3 player to just launch the nukes, okay? Because the 3s are evil. They are, you know, an obstacle you can clear. If you could clear rocks or cliffs, you would also do it, but then we would have completely flat sandboxes. In any case, yeah, so that's kind of the reasoning behind it. And so even now, Fairby, I don't think he no longer does that with the 3s. But he did it here, obviously, and he so because he could. But only the first 2 maps are done like this with him, and the first one he did, Ostia, he actually had to remove like 3 3s or something. In here, there's not a single 3 removed though. So that's great. It's a bit disrespect, actually. Let's take a look at this one. This one is another Brandesium. You might notice the water is slightly different in some of the different versions, because the maps went through some slight changes as well, as some of these screenshots are very old. Yeah, so we have a lighthouse, we've got a Ceres temple. Ceres temple is a bit of an overkill, I'd say, on Brandesium, because there is plentiful farmland. But, yeah, I guess the population was slightly too high. If you go for Grand Insula, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, I guess I see an empty granary. Perhaps the farmland's not been used completely, like 100% efficiently. Well, with the Mercury Temple, that's for Plaza, that's understandable in Reconquered. I would say, instead of the Ceres Temple, I would try to make the farms be a little better, and then try to go Venus instead, because it's so good. But of course, it worked. This is, you know, one of the blocks is pretty small for the amount of houses in it. But overall, it's good. A lot of industry on this one. I like how it turned out. So that is Brandesium, which is the second map, and we've taken a look at a couple. I think that's basically all of them. I have one more. And this one used the small little island I talked about before, with furniture workshops. Okay, yeah, and you see that this one has a lot of spare farmland. There's a lot of medium insula, a really good solid 1 block approach. You know, it's the second map, you can get away with something like this, but again, you could go to an extreme like the first one we took a look at. Okay, so after Brandesium, we've got Capia. So, what is Capia? Well, Capia has been redone pretty substantially, I think, from its original form. As the Gamers Act put it, you've logged in Capia, which is like it's sort of like a reverse logged in, where you live on the cliff and the farmland is on the low ground. But essentially a little bit, but there are no wolves, you can still access it pretty easily. Why did I do that, by the way, is the reason is card depot. Each map in the Reconquered campaign tries to teach you something. And with Capia, the thing to teach to players was taverns, arenas, lion pits, and card depots especially, right? So that's why. Let's look at this one first. This is, again, the fill all the map approach, okay? So just take a look at it. It's insane. It's look at all these mausoleums. That's a lot of mausoleums. I really like the city on the cliff though. Like all the housing essentially, apart from that little island, across that little peninsula, I guess, across the river, is on the high ground. Very well filled out. I like this city. It's just, there's something about looking at something like this and just marveling at it. And it's even better in my eyes because you see it's not just a sandbox. The person didn't just go into an empty map and draw squares, right? Like a lot of these maps do with the sandbox approach, like the free play. They'll just kind of carpet down line up housing one side by side of each other. That's not really pleasing. This is just so different, so natural. I cannot really describe it. I'm not sure if you agree. Of course, you are free to disagree with it. But in my eyes, this is better than, you know, filling out a completely flat map with something and calling it a city, or, you know, making it beautiful that way. You can, but it's substantially harder when there's no difficulties. In here, just imagine all the things that need to be done. Look at the aqueduct network and everything. It's very well thought out. I really like it. So let's take a look at another. I found one. So this is a more reasonable Capia. We see a lot of farms, a lot of fruit farms, with a granary in the middle island. Interesting. Yeah, you could fit like 2 farms there, I think, as well, if you wanted to. Like, you don't need to. Capia has a lot of farmland. But this is, yeah, good, nice, efficient. You've got another block on that small little eastern island or peninsula, which is nice. Colosseum, because it's an objective. Lighthouse, because it's an objective. Venus Temple, yes. I would say this is a more like the, again, try hard or like, you know, win quickly approach, as opposed to the last one we've seen, which was crazy. Filled out. So yeah, this one is, you know, reasonable. It does what it needs to do. There's nothing crazy going on. Quite a bit of industry, but my suspicion is maybe the city got a little bit old, because I don't see quite as many workshops as I would expect. So perhaps some of them were removed. But I don't know, it's just a screenshot. I don't have the saves. We've got another. This one is with 3 blocks. Oh, a 4th one with patricians as well. Okay. You can do patricians on these earlier maps. You don't need to though. It's up to you to do them. Our first 6 maps are beatable without patricians. Okay, so this one, I see some 1x1s. I don't like 1x1s, so that's just, you know, I'm an efficiency person, so 1x1s are not good, but they work, and if you want to have them, you can get away with it. Just goes to prove the point. Patrician, small villa, yeah, seems about right. Otherwise, nothing crazy going on here. Good trade setup. Not sure about the depot amount. Yeah, there's quite a few with the farmland, the goods being transported, which is nice. You've got a lot of industry along the river, as most people do, with a lot of furniture, bricks, pottery. We also see a full warehouse of marble, so that's from imports, I think. Otherwise, there's a warehouse at the entry which has a mixed bunch of goods, and that's good. It's probably an export warehouse, would be my guess. No highway. I don't think it's necessary on Capia. And we have a last one I have for you. So this one is similar. Again, that little cliff is alluring to build on because it's just a good place. It also, houses on high ground have bonus desirability, by the way. So that's why that is nice and useful. And then that little corner has been used again with the Grand Insula. Makes sense. But I personally also would like where the Maker Temple is and the Temple Dump here, that's a prime block site, especially early on. Like if you really try hard it, that's where you would build it. And then on the high ground, of course. Lighthouse, Colosseum, nothing too crazy going on here. Nice city. So after this is enough for Capia, I feel like we should move on to Tarentum. So Tarentum is the first military map, and it is still like sort of a military tutorial in a way. So let's take a look at this one. This one is a bit bad quality, so apologies for that. We've got Mercury Temple, Venus Temple, Colosseum, Senate and Governor's Mansion, the corner. A lot of defenses set up logically in a very good place. Oh, I see. What do I see? Is that a 9 by 9-ish in... Well, it's actually... It's smaller than a 9 by 9, which makes it slightly better. Actually, because of, you know, the fountain range being the thing. But the person wanted some extra houses, so I guess they just put some large casa in there. Large casa is one of the worst housing, by the way. But okay, so don't question it, it's fine. Otherwise, decent blocks. The width on these blocks is a problem though. I see this is double services block in the middle. That's not good. So like this person is clearly figuring stuff out still, because I see the blocks having issues with width, which causes the bulkers to break. So, you know, not optimal by a long shot, especially the second one is also small. But it works, you can get away with this, even though it's not optimal, even though it's not great. It still works and it can be made to be nice, okay? So that's what matters, this is what I want to show you. It's just, you know, it's not complete try hard, there's one way to beat everything, no. You can get away with quite a few inefficiencies, if you will. So that's the first Tarantum we have. I'm gonna have to find another. I'm sure I have plenty, I found like 4 before. This one, yeah, this one is similar. The defenses will look very similar because the invasion points are made in such a way that you know where to prepare from, or where to prepare for attacks from. And this one better, yeah, nice blocks. I like that. Nothing crazy going on here, just a Mercury temple, you know. Nice and simple, some Grand Insula. Nice city, good industry, nothing crazy going on. Now we take a look. This one is a rotated one. We've got a complete 22x6 here with a bunch of oracles. Okay, yeah, I mean efficiency is definitely on the menu for this player. We've got a culture dump, which is a bit hideous, but you can culture dump. There is ample trade to not have to do that, but you can do that. Mercury Temple, Venus Temple, which is good. No defenses to speak of, just military. Okay. And plenty of industry, plenty of farming. Looks good. Efficient. Let's take a look. Do I have the city from the person who does like to fill the map? That's my question, because that's always a joy to look at. Where is it? I apologize, but it's gonna take a little while to scroll through the folder. As I mentioned earlier, it is a bit hard to find it sometimes. The thing that I'm looking for. Tarantum. Oh yes, this is the Tarantum from the person who likes to fill the maps. Look at it. It's yeah, it's crazy, but you can do. There's a lot of industry. I like that. A lot of farms. We've got like intermingled blocks. I'm not sure about the proper road layout. Actually, if I had a save, we could take a look at that. But we've got a Pantheon. We've got all the 5 Grand Temples. We've got a Colosseum. We've got a lighthouse. We probably get a caravanserai as well somewhere, would be my guess. I'm looking for it. If there is one, I don't see it. But yeah, I see caravanserai now next to the Colosseum. All right. Again, a lot of these small mausoleums look really good because they have trees around them, so it actually blends in really nicely. And defenses, these are made for practical reasons as well as for aesthetics, because some of these back towers would not be able to shoot very well at the attackers at all, because forts do block line of fire for the towers. But it looks really nice. Completely filled in. Not much else to say, just, you know, very nicely done. And so after Tarentum, we can take a look at what else do we have? We've got Tarako, yes. Tarako is an example of a map that can be a bit hard. Let's take a look at it. So Tarako is a relatively small map, and it is rugged. It has a bunch of cliffs and rocks and water, and split into little areas that need transportation of goods to and from. So this person did some patricians on the eastern peninsula, and we've got a Ceres temple in the corner, the grand one, a lot of oracles, a lot of industry, good blocks, very logical places to put your blocks in. There are variations though. You could do other blocks, and we will see it with some other cities. Let's let's move on to another. I've got quite a few of these, so we need to keep moving. Venus Temple on this one, in the corner. Weapons industry near the entry point, not the greatest place for it because it's very flat. That's a perfect place for a block. But yeah, you can do other places, like down here. Good. Let's go ahead and move on. Oh, this is the filled one. Yeah, this is the completely filled one. Lord of Marble. Temples. Mars, Neptune, Venus, Ceres. So that's of Mercury. So we have all 5 grand temples on this map. I would not even think they properly fit, but that's really good. Yeah, a lot of large temples as well. I see. The docks area is quite a sprawl. We've got, it looks like 4-ish blocks in total. It's just kind of intermingled a little bit. A lot of culture dumping as well, but it's made in such a way that it doesn't look like an eyesore. So that is good. Really impressive to fill this map in. And also some of the trees in the water were preserved near the waterways. So yeah, where they could, they didn't remove all the trees, which is quite nice. Other cities. Let's take a look. This one, oh yeah, another good one. This one is efficient, I like it. A lot of weapons industry near the docks. Docks put in very logical place. Some people didn't do this, so you could place your docks in worse places, and they did oftentimes. These are the best docks you can get on this map. I like that. So we've got Mars Temple, Neptune Temple, Mercury Temple, Venus Temple, Pantheon, and a Ceres Temple on this map. Okay, pretty mild earthquake spread, but that's how it usually ends up. Very good block site near the entry point. Then the cliff. That could actually be, is it 1 or 2? It's 1, I think. It's very good, very good. We've got some villa. This city has 100 prosperity, sure what. Even though it's not necessary on this map. Good use of the residential walls to highlight things. A highway, more for aesthetics, I suspect, than anything too useful there. But really nice. And also didn't remove any excess trees that were not necessary to remove. It's quite nice. And so let's take a look at... I've got more, but there's so much. This video already is quite long, so like I would like to look at everyone's city, but it's just not really possible. Can take a look at this one, just Miletus, it's just map 6. So we've got some palaces, these large palaces, and bunch of Grand Insula and even large insula, and then some ad hoc patricians, the patricians, if you will, in the western corner over here. Yeah, I mean, Miletus is a bit small, so I see the entry points for the enemies have been walled in, like so, which I see a lot. You can do that, of course, especially here when the enemies are not really very powerful. And yeah, I mean, lots of fishing. I'm gonna be looking forward to seeing the filled map for Miletus and how it's gonna look like. Sure, that's gonna be nice. And let's take a look at the random one, another one. I'm just gonna give you a sample. So this one is Caesarea, and you see how efficient it is. Like basically half the map where all the invasion points are have been cut off. You don't need to do this, but the person decided strategic reasons were taken into account there. And this is a map where you have to import all your food and get a little bit of subsidy. But we see 2 very nice Grand Insula blocks, some patricians with, is that large villa? The Grand Villa? I actually know. And then we have medium insula. Good dock sites, decent industry. We've got 2 Grand Temples. No Venus, which is a bit disappointing, but Ceres is absolutely vital on this one. I don't think you have to do it, but it helps a lot. Especially, oh yeah, I see no highway here. That's a bit of a lack of planning, actually. Because the highway would increase your yearly throughput of food, and since you are relying on imports of it, that would amount to a lot of extra food. So that is a limiting factor for sure. Something else I have? Well, I have a lot of things we can take a look at. I'm gonna just give you some time lapses of Sam at this end part. So Sam is, I mentioned it before, he's probably the best player for Augustus. Sort of like Bruegel of Augustus. Like Bruegel is a Trollgo, these people are the Julius players, the very good Julius players, masters at the game, right? So Sam is like that for Augustus, basically. And yeah, he is a very good player. He oftentimes does, he likes efficiency, but he also plays the toughest custom maps. He manages to overcome even the toughest obstacles. And he enjoyed the Reconquered campaign, even though it's not as hard as you might like in many cases. He did also challenge himself, as I told you before. So after these time lapses are done, I'm gonna show you his Damascus. Because he basically, again, he didn't allow himself to use any other water than Grand Temple to Neptune's reservoir range water. And it worked, so... You know, it goes to show how you can still do custom challenges for yourself in Reconquered. You don't have to rely on the game to just do that, even though there are challenges, of course, to keep things interesting. And after that, he also did Massilia without global labor pool. I'm gonna show that as well. And yeah, that's pain, because he couldn't even use the small islands very well without... He didn't want to use feeder tents, so he used sort of blocks, like line blocks, for providing labor access on the big island for food. And it still worked, which Massilia is pretty hard without global labor pool, but it's possible. So anyways, this video has been long enough, I feel like. So if I didn't show all the pictures, I'm sorry, but it's just not really feasible to do that. I hope that this opened eyes to some people who might be, you know, of the opinion that, oh, there is one way to beat this campaign, there is one way to play this campaign. No, that's actually not correct. There's multiple ways you can play it, and people do that all the time, and all the cities actually look very different, and, you know, build things that are entirely unnecessary even, or decorate to an excess amount and make things look really nice, or just, you know, try hard it out and win as quickly as possible. You can do many things. So I think that's a sign of a good campaign. You let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and see you around. Bye.